So recently on a woodworking forum, a user was expressing interest in trying out Rob Cosman's method for cutting dovetails. And what Rob has and what he sells is this little marking tool that has saw teeth cut into it for a short distance. And when you line up your tailboard on your pin board, you can mark your pins using the already established saw kerfs from that tailboard. The problem this user faced was that where he lives, the shipping would be prohibitively expensive, several times what the tool costs. He was looking for advice on coming up with an alternative. Mine I made from a piece of pallet strap that happened to be the same thickness as my dovetail saw. In my case, this is 20 thousandths of an inch, or 0.5 millimeters. It also happens that a utility knife blade is the same. So since this is the right thickness, we could use this to make the tool. Just file in the saw teeth. But the problem is, in its current state, the blade should be nearly as hard as the file. And so that really won't work well. What we're going to do is heat this up until we see it turn nice and blue. Same color as the blue tempered spring steel that I use on the saw plate. So when I responded with my idea of using the utility knife blade to that forum member, in lieu of something like this, just because it's something readily available, it's the correct thickness, he asked if there was any videos I could point him to that would show him how to do it. And I could not think of any off the top of my head, so I said it's probably best if I just make one. So here we go. So I'm going to use this little butane torch, but you could get away with using pretty much anything you want on this. A barbecue lighter would probably even do the job, because the temperatures we're shooting for are pretty mild. Hotter than your oven will get, but a stove burner would also do the trick. Whether it's gas or electric, you should still be able to do it. So you can see it starting to go. You see there it's going straw colored at the tip. And you see that blue purple coming up the blade. I'm going to go just a little bit further. Make sure this. Yeah. So now we'll let that cool down slowly, and the file should be able to bite. You have two options at this point. You can either file down that bevel area until it's flat and then cut your teeth there, or do what I'm going to do and file the teeth into the back of it. So while this cools, let's go rig up a temporary saw vise. So what I got here for our vise is two scraps of wood that happen to be badly cupped. And we actually want this for this purpose, if you can get it. What you're looking for is you want the very top edge to come together and pinch whatever blade you got tightly. And so what I'm going to do is just quickly knock off the edges so that I'll have some relief for when I'm filing. This goes pretty quickly with a scrub plane. That's pretty good. So now I can come in at angles, and I'm not going to be whacking into the corner of that board. Now, if you have an actual saw vise, obviously use that. Crunch. Okay. Now then, probably don't need to do this step, and I haven't annealed it all the way down, or tempered it all the way down, that is, but you can joint that. Make sure that you got a nice smooth flat to start from. So we don't need to match the pitch of the dovetail saw exactly. And just for reference, this here is a half 13 bolt. And this is a 5/16 18 threads per inch. What we're aiming for is a pitch somewhere in between. So for this, I'm just going to eyeball it. Now, there are different means of marking this out. I'll throw a link in the description of Wood by Right videos that show how to do this. So where I made this guide, if it's held perfectly horizontal, I made it so that the file would be in that orientation for that really aggressive rake. But I want to tilt it a little bit this way. My teeth don't come out that aggressive. I want to make this easy to start the cut, because that's all it's doing, is starting the cut, establishing a kerf. Now, if you screw up the pitch, it doesn't matter at all. These teeth can be pretty janky looking and still accomplish the goal. Again, we're not cutting the whole dovetail with this. We're not making deep rip cuts. We're just establishing the mark. And I'll go back over them again. Deepen the gullets. And so there we are. As you can see, kind of janky, but there are teeth there. So let's give it a go. So I've installed the blade in a knife, and let's pretend we're marking our pin. Now, obviously you'd have the tail board here holding it, and you'd be establishing that mark with a guide. I usually don't even bother going further than that. I know Rob does a little deeper. Anyway, we have our groove. And then when we come in with our dovetail saw, we got something to follow.